Hi everybody, I am Dr. Shachindra Joshi and she's Dr. Anushree Mehta. We both are part of Beyond Injections and Juvenile Diabetic Foundation. Today we both will talk about, in brief, our journey with type 1 diabetes and what we are doing today in our clinics. So, to begin with, I'll ask Dr. Anushree about her experience with diabetes and her journey so far. So, Dr. Anushree, can you describe a little bit about your journey in diabetes? How did you manage? I believe you've been a diabetic for about 25 odd years? 20 odd years?
22.
Yeah, so that's a long time. So, how was it?
I think I was diagnosed at the age of 11. And what I remember about the day of the diagnosis is that we were stuck in traffic. Apparently there was traffic 22 years ago also. And the whole atmosphere in the car was like, oh my god, somebody has died. And the only thing that was running in my head was that this is probably because of me and what should I do to make it better. And I think when you get hit with some kind of a chronic diagnosis, God is great. He gives you the maturity for you to understand that you need to step up and you need to, take control here. So those first few days, what I remember, I don't remember much. I just remember going to Deepak Uncle's clinic, him teaching me how to take the injection, him sitting next to me, taking the injection with me the first time.
Okay.
And then I remember going to the JDF meeting the next day, and that's it. That's how it started. And I don't think there was any looking back. There are two parts of life. One was before you got diabetes, one was after you got diabetes. I don't remember much about the first part, but what I remember about those early days is that there was a lot of changes at home. A lot of support from family. I think we all as a family had switched to healthy eating.
Yeah.
And at home there was not much trouble. I think most of us manage well at home. It is when we step out into the world where we start facing the challenges.
True.
So when I entered medical college, I was a little apprehensive because we had 3 hours of travel. I had to carry my injections, I had to carry my meter, I had to carry a bag full of dabbas.
Yes.
Along with all the other stuff that you have to carry for medical college. Plus, I was in a medical college, so that was a good thing. But in and around our college, there was nothing much. It was like a village. So it was a little scary. If you get stuck there, you wouldn't even get anything to eat outside. And well, somehow we managed. And then when I came to my days of internship, that was when I had a lot of trouble because we used to stay in the hospital 24 hours. There were very few options outside of the hospital. There was no control over what food you get. There was no control over what time you get to eat, because if a patient comes, you have to see them. You didn't have a choice, and many times you would get stuck in the OT, you would get stuck in the emergency ward, and that 1 year was horrible as far as my diabetes is concerned. Because I was on injections. I was pretty good at diabetes management even then. I was very obedient.
Right.
But that was when I realized that I need to upgrade myself. I need something better. And that is when I started exploring my options, and I decided to shift onto the pump, which I think was the best decision I have ever made for my diabetes management.
I think I remember the time when you were planning to go on the pump and you were working at Lilavati, if I'm not mistaken, at around that time, or just before that, somewhere at some point of time.
I was during doing my internship.
It was during the last few years of your
Last few months.
internship, yes, because you were contemplating whether to move on the pump or not. So, amongst the things that you spoke about, Anushree, being obedient, having good family support and maturity, were some key points that I could pick out from your experience. Was there anything else that helped you living with type 1 diabetes that you would like to share with people?
I think knowledge.
Mm.
We were very religious to attend all the camps, to attend several, I wouldn't say all meetings, but several meetings of JDF in order to learn how to manage diabetes, how to live with diabetes.
True.
And we are Gujaratis,
Of
so we
course.
have a lot of family in the US.
Of course.
And they would send a lot of material. They'd send me tapes and videos of education.
So a lot of education
lot of
material.
education, lot of education.
So I think education is one of the key factors in living with diabetes, living healthy with diabetes, managing diabetes. What is important is right education, which is learned obediently and which is read maturely and implemented in the right way. Because I believe there is a lot of education material available even now.
Yes,
Yeah.
online you just have to look for it.
Yeah. And one more thing that I would love to add over here, with my experience of being a diabetic for now nearly 35 years, is that first a strong belief in yourself that we can find a way out. Anushree put that as maturity. I would say that as a strong belief, something like that, where you know that I can find a way out, there is a lot of way forward, and there is a lot to achieve in life. And that can act like a good motivation for you to look forward for tomorrow and move on and implement all of these things that you just briefly spoke about. Amazing. We go to the next topic, Anushree, is choosing diabetes as a profession. I'm sure it's quite natural for every diabetic to think of diabetes, managing it as a profession. What excited you?
So after I graduated, I used to love medicine as a subject, and when I was exploring my options, it was actually Dr. Dalal who pushed me, and he told me that you should work on your strengths. And he said that you make diabetes your strength and you make it your profession, and then see how it changes your life. And I don't know, I think he's very wise and he was very right. I don't know how to put this, but I just went with it, I kind of went with the flow. I managed to get into an institution where I got trained as a diabetologist, and the more I learn about it, the more exciting it is, even academically. But I think for me it is a win-win situation, because it helps me better my diabetes management. It helps me help other people better their diabetes management. And when you understand the intricacies of how your sugars in your body work, I think you can really come out with innovative solutions.
Absolutely. I think this is more exciting. We both being type 1 diabetics and helping people with diabetes, what I see is we have a chance of being on either sides of the table, as a treater as well as a receiver. So when we impart a solution, we always try to see, would I be able to do that? How logical it is, how practical it is, what are the challenges? Because remember, nobody has illnesses by choice. We all are in that situation, and we all have our own life challenges. It's always interesting to tailor make solutions so that they're implemented and the quality of life of that individual improves, isn't it?
Very important.
Yeah.
I think it's very easy to write on a paper, do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But to understand the practical application as to how the individual is actually going to do it in their day-to-day management is not easy.
And I think that is the most exciting part for me, Dr. Anushree, and under the guidance of Dr. Aspi Irani, to come together and form this Beyond Injections clinic, where things are tailor-made, things are done with the objective of helping all of us, live healthy, live happy, achieve what we want to do in the best way, and in the easiest solution. So it's more of action-oriented clinic than just a theoretical clinic.
Yeah. I think when we talk about diabetes management, it's actually very simple. If you have to write a question, if you have a question in an exam and if you have to write an answer, there are just 4-5 things which you have to manage.
Turn around. Yeah.
Right? But when it actually comes to managing it in daily life, actually comes to living with it, actually comes to managing your mind, you know, it's not that simple. It's quite challenging.
Sure.
And that's where we wanted to make a difference.
Yeah.
And both of us, even Dr. Shachindra has been on the pump for the last, how many years now?
16
years. I've been on the pump for almost 9 years. And we wanted to give this benefit of our knowledge to other people who are using the pump, because when we both started working at the Juvenile Diabetes Foundation, we realized we are getting people who are on the pump who are extremely capable of living a 10 times better life with the pump, but they are not doing it because they don't have the right guidance.
Yeah. So awareness is something that is vital, and that is what we are imparting to everybody, so that we make the best use of the tools that we already have and get the results. What's interesting about my journey with the pump is I started using the pump way back in 2004 when the pumps were relatively new. And I remember the Asia Pacific manager of Medtronic coming to my clinic not once but twice but thrice, persuading me to use the pump. I had a lot of apprehensions about the gadget and wondered how could an insulin pump, something sticking on me, help me. It's so inconvenient, and all those notions that I had in my mind. A lot of convincing had to be done, but once I was on it, it definitely changed my life completely.
Yeah.
And I'm sure your experience with the pump must have been similar.
Yeah, so then the first 6 months of when I was using the pump, you know, after I managed to get my doses or basals adjusted, after I managed to get everything in line and I got used to it, the first thing I did with the pump is I missed a meal.
Oh, good.
Because I was desperate to skip a meal.
Okay.
Because I had never done that in the
We didn't have the choice.
I didn't have the choice. And the second thing that I did was wake up late in the morning.
Oh, good.
It's not a good habit, but I did do that, and I think I was just so excited that I can actually do all these things with the pump. I'm not trying to market it.
Of course not.
But what I remember is that when I first went on the pump, I had one very thin book that was given to me, and I read that book, and I went online. I did a lot of research. So when the company person actually came to my house and started teaching me things, I was the one who was telling him,
okay,
this is how it is, this is how it is. He was so impressed
of course
that he got me another book. That this is a book we'll give you, we don't give it to everyone.
Of course.
And from then to now, I think the book size has gone to 3 or 4 times of what it was.
Absolutely, I'm sure it's needed.
So it's pump management when you started using, when I started using, was very straightforward because we did not have enough.
Yes. We did not have enough experience, enough literature in India.
Yeah. And now it's much more complicated. It has much more applications or features than what it had back in say 2010 or 2004.
So being on the pump feels like a magic solution for diabetes, and we can wake up late, we can skip meals and do everything that you want. But believe me, it's not as simple as that. You ought to be disciplined. The first things that I found very interesting is to be responsible, to be mature, to be aware of what you are doing. And when we implement all of that in your pump management, yes, the results can be good. So today's video we stop over here, where we talk about our awareness and our introduction to diabetes and introduction to the pump. In the next video, we will talk more about the pump, how do we use it, what it is, and who are the ideal candidates that can go on the pump and make best use of this pump. Thank you.
Thank you.